everybody. I'm here to let you guys know about 3 movies that I saw over the weekend. I'm going to go over each one briefly, give like 2 or 3 minutes for each one, and I will give you a final score of what I thought about these movies. The first one up was Hardcore Henry. Me and a couple of my friends went and saw it at the D-Box with the chairs like move with the movie. I figured that would be a really good movie to see in the D boxes for the first time, and probably the only time, because I don't believe too many movies should get the D box effect. We decided to go to this. All of us were a little scared because of the whole first person shaky cam kind of thing that we all remember from Cloverfield. I can't remember too many people that I've talked to said that they lasted that whole movie in the movie theater. A lot of people said they got home and watched it and they felt fine on their own TVs, but with the big screen and a lot of movement, they just couldn't handle it. I walked out of that movie too, so I was a little scared for myself. I did not want to walk out of this movie. So basically what Hardcore Henry was it was about this man that woke up in Moscow. He was in a laboratory. He couldn't remember anything. And there was a lady inside the laboratory that was kind of like putting him back together. She was putting an arm on him, a leg on him, like a robotic kind of limbs on him. And she had told him that she was his wife and that she had a mission for him. And before she could give him his voice, the laboratory got bombarded by some bad guys or whoever it was, bombarded before she could give him a voice. So he has no voice the whole movie. The main character does not have a listed actor because he wasn't acted by anybody. You never saw him. The whole movie, he was acted by stuntmen. I think it was like 10 different stuntmen, and they all wore a GoPro. I think even the director did a couple scenes for the movie too, as him. So basically, the audience is the star of this movie. As the movie moves along, he begins to remember things. He begins to realize what kind of powers he has, or special abilities that he has. So as the movie progresses along, his whole main objective is to stop this bad guy, who is played by Danila Kozlovsky. I don't know if I'm right on that or not. The only thing he's been in is Vampire Academy. I never saw that movie, but he was one of the stars of that movie. He did a very good job in this movie too, as a psychopathic villain. Henry, he's going to stop this bad guy from ending the world. This movie is full of action. It does not stop once. If you like action films, this might be a movie for you, but I'm not going to say it's for everybody that loves action films. The action scenes in her were a little shaky at times. I guess that's a bad pun on the shaky cam effect. But you really couldn't see what was going on sometimes because you were in the first person's perspective. So when he was on the ground, like looking at the ground, you were looking at the ground too. So you couldn't see everything that was going on. The one big positive thing that came out of this movie was Sharlto Copley. Sharlto Copley, he's been in District 9. He's been in Chappie. He's been in Elysium. He's a very talented actor. Badass. But he was the star of this movie. He played a character which he had to continually play a different character. I don't want to give away too much about the movie, but he played multiple characters in this movie. I personally like this movie. I think it's a good first step to a movie genre that follows this. There was not much of a story behind it. This movie is just purely an action-packed shooter game. If you're a gamer, I highly recommend this movie because it is almost like playing a game, but you're just watching it. I think they did a very good job with the camera work and the backstories behind this movie, with how they had to do a lot of the shots in just one take, and because the budget was so low. I think it's pretty amazing what they did with this movie. So my final score for this movie is a 6 out of 10. I was originally going to give it a 5 out of 10, but because of Sharlto Copley's acting in it, I had to give it that extra point because he was so funny and he really carried the movie a little bit. I was very impressed with it. The next movie that I saw was Midnight Special. I've been waiting for this movie for so long. I saw the trailer a while ago, and the trailer was so like, you just watched it and you're like, what the hell is this movie about? And as you're watching the movie, you basically have the same reaction. What is this movie all about? But it's in a good way. It basically starts off with a man that is escaping from a religious cult with his son. His son's name is Alton. His son possesses special powers, and this religious cult considers the kid their savior. So they really want him around. But the dad knows the kid has to be to a certain place at a certain time on a certain date, and he needs to get his son to this spot because something big is supposed to happen. Like I said before, I don't want to give too much away from this movie, but this movie was basically it was a sci-fi thriller / drama. There was no comedy in it. There's no humor in it. It was a very indie film, but there was some cool chase scenes. It's full of great actors. Michael Shannon is the star as the dad. He did a great job, and I loved him in this role. It was a very different kind of role for him, so I loved seeing him in this role. If you don't know who Michael Shannon is, you might know him from Man of Steel. He was General Zod. He was also in another movie by the same director called Mud. The little boy was played by Jaden Lieberher. Maybe. Looks like it. But the only thing I remember him from, and I think the only thing that he's been in really, is St. Vincent. He was the little boy in that. And in this movie, if is any indication of his future, he's going to have a bright future because he was really good in this movie as a weird kind of loner kind of kid that has special powers. This movie also had Kristen Dunst, Joel Edgerton, Sam Shepard, Adam Driver in it. So it was very deep with great actors, and they all did a great job. I highly recommend this movie. The director, Jeff Nichols, had also directed Mud and another movie called Take Shelter, which I thought was very good too. So I'm hoping we see more from Jeff Nichols, more of these indie kind of films that are really good. I ended up giving this movie a 8.5 out of 10. So earlier today, I saw a movie called Hello, My Name is Doris. Stars Sally Fields. She needs no introduction. She's a legend. And it also stars Max Greenfield, who is from The New Girl recently. But he's been in like an episode of every show ever made in the history of TV, probably. At least one episode. He's just not a very recognizable face. But like I said, recently he's been in The New Girl. He's a star, one of the stars of The New Girl on TV. He's been in a couple episodes of American Horror Story, freak shows, and recently he was also in the hit movie The Big Short. This movie was directed by Michael Showalter, who a lot of people might know from, he's the writer of Wet Hot American Summer, Children's Hospital. He was the creator of the 90s sketch comedy, The State, which was great of its time. It was very different, and he is the one that brought that to the public. Basically, this movie was Sally Fields plays an older lady that her mom had just recently died, and she lived with her mom. And she was starting to go a little crazy. She would go to work every day and hang out with her friends at night, towards the end of the night or whatever, and they would go to these like little motivational speeches. She went to this one, and she ended up meeting the motivational speaker afterwards. He was such an inspiration to her. He had told her that to follow your dreams and don't let anything get in your way or whatever. So this leads her to go after a younger man that she works with, and the movie is all about her trying to get him to love her back. And they become very good friends, and there's misleading things going on during the movie. It's not an original movie by any means. It's also different because it's done with an older lady. Usually these movies are done with the younger actors and stuff, where a girl might get a little psycho over a guy, or a guy might get a little psycho over a girl. They changed it up a little bit and had Sally Field play an older lady that does the same thing. This movie, I would basically say, is a comedy sprinkled with a little bit of drama. There's not a lot of drama in it, but there is a lot of comedy in it, and I laughed out loud a few times in the theater. Sally Fields, this is one of her best roles, and that's saying a lot because she's really good in a lot of movies. That's definitely saying a lot. Now, I hope this movie gets a re-release towards the end of the year, because I feel that her performance was so good in this movie that it could get an Oscar nod for leading actress, and I hope it does. I mean, there's still a lot of movies left in the season, but I felt like this could be the time that she gets another Oscar. Even a nomination would be good. So in the end, I ended up giving this movie a 7.5 out of 10. Originally, it was supposed to be a 7. As more that I thought about it, I think it deserved that half a point more, just due to the fact that Sally Field's performance in it. I don't highly recommend Hardcore Henry, but I highly recommend seeing Midnight Special and Hello, My Name is Doris. Thank you for listening to my reviews. Go over to YouTube and go to the Movie House Maniacs, our page. Also on Facebook, follow us on the Cinebros. It's on Instagram and Twitter, all at the same. You can find me on Facebook at Breaking from Movies with Chadwick. You can also find me on Twitter at DJDizzle82, but definitely go to our YouTube page and subscribe. It should be around here somewhere. The red button, subscribe, and help us out, and much appreciated. See you guys later. Bye.
If you watch the show on YouTube, please click that thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And thank you for watching.